Okay, so that pretty much sums that up. Now we're gonna go on our razor blade stealth. Razor blade stealth. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go into part 2 of the video where we're gonna start gluing together some of this shit to make it sound audible.
I've seen over the years you use like all different types of master compression. So I think it's worth mentioning here that you don't do this on every song, right? This isn't like...
No, there's no such thing as a magical master chain. It's gonna make everything sound way, way more fatter and better. It's a lot of experimentation with, you know, different types of things, but the principle stays the same. Is that at the end of your chain, you're definitely gonna want a limiter that's gonna give you a ceiling of, you know, I don't know why it's actually, it could be 0, but it's actually 0.3 for reasons unbeknownst to me.
Could talk about intersample peaking might be a reason, but yeah,
thanks, Steve.
can get technical reasons. You might not want to go to 0, but the fact of the matter ultimately is you're basically controlling dynamics more than like overall like EQ stuff. It looks like with your plugin chain here, because you have the limiting going on. The OTT is doing this compression, downwards and upwards compression.
Right.
So you're really kind of putting all of the sounds. What I notice is sort of a result of this is for one, it allows quieter stuff to be heard a little bit more, right? Because as you know, compressors reducing the dynamic range, so louder stuff and quieter stuff become kind of closer together in volume. So it allows that quieter stuff not to get so lost. And then the other thing it's doing is it's catching stray peaks and that sort of thing, so you get an overall louder mix out. So your mix isn't going to sound too wimpy versus others. But the OTT does have sort of a tone quality to it too, although I see you're leaving it pretty flat, so it's pretty much just giving you a constant balance of certain amount of lows, certain amount of mids, and certain amount of highs.
Yeah, one other thing I do before I tend to go to all these you know, limiters and compressors and any dynamics modifier on my master chain is it's actually disabled here for laziness reasons, but I do tend to cut below 20 hertz just because, you know, you're not going to hear it. It's not sub. And some synths, or some soft synths especially, actually any digital anything, is more prone to putting out sub frequency that actually does affect dynamics down the chains, even though you don't hear it. You know, these speakers, I think the lowest they'll go is like 30, you know? With sub.
Yeah, I mean, it could probably hear, like, they're probably really rolling off down there. They could probably put out 20, but in a weak way. But yeah, your ears don't hear below 20.
Your ears won't hear it, and I wouldn't dare crank these loud enough to even attempt to feel that. But on major, huge PAs and stuff like that, that stuff really counts, because they really do drive those, and those big, you know, club stacks or concert stacks really add up and put out those kind of frequencies. In order to get a little more loudness out of everything, your low, your low mid, your mid, and your high and stuff like that, rolling off, you know, anything, or completely cutting off with a plugin. Actually, I recommend called Engineer's Filter. You can just Google that. It's free. Stuff like that you can use to, you know, just totally strip out anything below 20 hertz, just due to the fact that you're not going to get any of those weird magical spikes that are sub 20 hertz that are going to affect your dynamics later down the chain. So that's actually the first thing I put on my master chain, is just, you know, just drop everything below 20 hertz.
Right. So
you won't hear it when you're testing it. So don't be like, oh, it's not doing anything. It is.
Right. On a good system, you'd hear it. So it's giving you a little more headroom, and it's making you avoid the potentially problematic rumble, if you will, that would be just causing mud in a big PA situation.
I've heard, you know, kind of tales of lore of people cutting below 30,
yeah,
and stuff like that. But
yeah, I don't think there's much like content that we care about below 30 hertz. Although, you know, it really starts going into like the feeling it kind of realm. So, you know, I always felt like I couldn't really care about 20 hertz until I was on a stage with a big PA. I think it might have been yours, where I started to realize, wow, even these vibrations that are kind of below, you can hear. You still feel them. So
yeah,
there's something cool about it. But especially if you're in headphones, or you're in a small like apartment or whatever bedroom with smaller speakers, you don't even know what's going on down there. So you're probably better safe than sorry to just, like,
Well, let's
Joel says,
actually
high pass it.
take a look. Let's see what happens if we go under the hood here. I'll just use some EQ. So this is before anything on my master, and if you look here, yeah, see, look at that activity.
You can zoom that. Yep.
Yeah, we don't need you. We don't need you. So yeah, 30 hertz. It's up there, you know. And then what I would, I guess.
Could do a 48 dB high pass, right?
Right. Yeah. Did they change that so you can? So that's a bit of a roll off. I mean, that's not gonna cut. That's why I prefer the engineer's filter, because it's a straight cut. But roll off won't hurt too if you don't have an EQ that's gonna cut that out. I mean, I even at, you know, starting the roll off at 37 hertz,
Yeah.
I can't hear the difference at all. But it's there.
Yeah, touch less rumble maybe, and that's just because we have huge speakers, so we can perceive the difference. But on headphones, you probably wouldn't hear any difference
No.
there. And so that's great. So yeah, so you also do, so besides the master channel here, which you've been talking about, you also do some busing beforehand, right? To get all your stuff to the master. You tend to kind of group things together.
Yeah, a lot of stuff I can get away with. So I think I have a kick channel in here somewhere. That's, I got a whole hats group. Well, I did at one point.
Okay, so like, so you'll have a sort of a bus for your
Yeah,
kick or kicks, right? It
Yeah,
might be-
right. So if my kick here, I can see it's going to D bus, right? So if we go just take a look at D bus and solo that and see what's on there. Yeah, it's all my drums. And then I think I'm even, yeah, okay, so D bus is routing to my master, so I know that that's going to be probably, you know, one of the loudest parts of, you know, the song. So I'm not really doing anything crazy magical to it. Just using some cheesy old Vengeance kicks here and layering them up, tuning them a bit, you know. Nothing wrong with using D-Walt. But it's the little nuances that I find make the difference too. It's even though you can use some stock samples like, you know, the Vengeance stuff.
Right.
It's all rage. It's little cool things that you can actually do, you know, to make a difference. It's say what is this automation here? It's the gain and yes. So here I actually shift the transpose and loop that little piece of tail.
So you made your own effect symbol, basically.
Yeah, I made my own cool little symbol thing. And you know, you're not going to get that off the CD, but you got the sample and you got, you know, your little tool to work with. So it's just, you know, little fun tricks like that to keep yourself from falling asleep while you're making EDM, which is, you know, pretty easy to do. You know, things like little like fade-in shakers. And then that's our serum again somewhere.
Yeah, I know there's some strings that come in as a nice layer at some point. I don't know if we went over those.
Yeah, that's more music-y stuff. Like, so here I'm using the Vienna Versing Cube. It's just another component to add to our ARP here. So here's serum, kind of being some main synth here.
Serum, you say?
Yes, serum, available on xforrecords.com/products/serum. I got it right this time, yeah. This is such a great synth. It's honestly like one of my go-tos for, you know, the Deadmau5 pluck. Well, the Deadmau5 pluck essentially is a saw wave with a filter on it. Of course, how to get that sound is just by, you know, making various tweaks and adjustments. So here I go, oh, ping pong delay, super high quality, high tech delay that just blows my mind, and a bit of shaping and layering with other synths and stuff like that too. So what I could do also is, you know, just kind of copy this and duplicate it like a cheap jerk and go to external or instrument, right? So the way we have this.
audio effects.
Right. The way we have this set up wired up is I've installed a Moog MIDI out guy. So I can actually take MIDI out to Slim Fatty, which is just a MIDI device. You know, it could be your MIDI out. I can say audio input from 1, which is, you know, my, you can see it in the corner there. It's that big mod can. He's already patched up and ready to go. So that's actually analog.
Right, so you're routing the same MIDI that you're using for Serum. Now you're also layering your external synthesizer that's feeding back into the Apollo.
So now the joys of analog, I have to walk all the way over here, use my hands, and turn knobs. This is why I need to be in a band though, because someone also has to record this at the same time. So if we pull that down, conveniently enough, as I duplicated the track, it copied the EQ settings, which I might not want, a little more low end there. Take that ridiculous delay off. Now it's just pure analog, straight in, with the exception of that gain. And it's going to the same synth bus. So now if I also layer that with Serum, you're hearing both now. Now, of course, it doesn't have to be a, you know, 400 module mod can synth. It could be any little synth. It could be a, you know, a little Slim Fatty, Mother 32, any synth really.
So in both cases, though, both with Serum and with your modular, you're basically using a sawtooth and then a filter, like a low-pass filter. So you're running the sawtooth into the filter, and then you have some sort of envelope. In both cases, that's moving the cutoff of the filter, right? So which is what's giving the pluck.
Yeah.
Is like on the start of the note, you hear the full saw, basically, and then the envelope decays down, leaving you with just sort of the low end. And then you're not even using an amplitude envelope, I see.
Right, well that gets super nerdy into modular world. Kind of most synths that come off the shelf, or, you know, you buy it, you know, a music store that's like, you know, a Moog or a Nord or, you know, anything, usually have the what's called the ADSR envelopes like kind of just built in. So it's like, you know, you hit the note, you take your hand off, and it's already there. You know, it's got its attack, sustain, decay, release, and all that stuff already like programmed into the patch.
Right.
Whereas modular ones, you kind of have to do yourself. And same with Serum, sort of. That like they're already there, they're ready to go, but they just kind of default in a certain way, and you're changing, you know, your attack, decay, sustain, and release, and all that stuff. But for my type of thing is I never really adjust amplitude. I use cutoff control voltage to determine, you know, its peaks.
And then the same thing here on Serum. You have like the envelope 2, which is controlling the cutoff of the filter there.
Yeah, cool. So I think I did. Yes.
Right. So there's the decay down. Yeah.
Oh. I mean, this is really like 4 clicks away from default position when you load up Serum. It's really just a matter of enabling a filter and assigning an envelope to the cutoff, and maybe adjusting some unison if you're feeling some sort of way.
Well, cool. We've checked out.
Fucking A.
What do we do?
Is this a bad porn? Well, cool. Come on. Your pizza's here. I'm here to clean your pool. Pretend you can act. Pretend you can act.
All
Pretend you're an actor. Act like you're acting.
All right, cool. That was part 2. I think we're done. We done?
Yep, that was part 2. That's good.
Razor blade stealth.
Razor blade stealth.